Just moved in my new house today. Moving was hard, but I got squared away. Bells started ringing and chains rattled loud. I knew I'd moved in a haunted house. Still I made up in my mind to stay. Nothing was gonna drive me away.
Hey people, as you notice, I got a Buzzcat. I'm going to be a little cooler now out in the shop without all that air on. No more video of me with having bad air days, at least not for a couple of months. If you notice, I'm not out in the shop. I'm downstairs. I've been out running errands all day. It's my Monday. Mondays have a lot of errands. Before we get things started though, I wanted to give a shout out to one very special lucky young man out there. Dave, aka Pandemic Cemetery, excuse me, and the Dead with Dave show. A couple of weeks ago, actually a couple of months ago, he did a show on how to light your haunting, or how to light your haunts. It could be both, could be either. But anyway, how to light your haunt, and he was going over various methods and stuff on his Dead with Dave show. And he mentioned about taking a light in with you, to light up your displays a little bit more. An electric light, which meant an extension cord. And with the way mine is all set up in a maze and everything, it would not have worked too well, because I would have had to have drug an extension cord around with me too, and that would have been a pain in the butt. So I wrote a comment asking him if he knew of a battery-powered light that one could use to do the same thing. That way I wouldn't have an extension cord to drag around. Well, last episode, he actually read my question on air. And thank you. Thank you for the shout-out. I appreciate it. It helped. The light you recommended was a LED light recommended for cameras, made by Neewer. Did some digging that night. I watched it late at night, couldn't find it. Next day after I was awake, I went over to Amazon.com, did another look for it, actually found it on Amazon. I ordered it, and it came in. And this is the light that I got. And Dave recommended a 120 LED light. The one I ended up buying was 160. Which means it's extremely bright. But I bought it because it had a couple of feature on it that I liked, that the other ones I was seeing didn't have. As with the one from Dead with Dave, that Pandemic brought up, and here's a look at it here. You get your basic light. You can run this thing off of 6 AA batteries, which is good. Or if you have a spare battery pack for your camera, they give you a little packet here. You can plug this in and plug it in the back instead of all the batteries to run the light. You get 2 filters for it. Almost kind of a foggy clear one and a yellow one, which kind of diffuse the light a little bit. And the one that Dave showed had that on it. And one thing that caught my eye was the on-off switch for it. It's just a little wheel there, but you can control how bright the light is. And it does get bright. If you just hit there, that's pretty much its lowest setting, which is really dim. But if you crank it up, and I'm not sure the camera's doing it justice, it gets real bright, and that's full bright. And actually looking into it when it's on full bright, it's like looking into a flash off a camera. It is very, very bright. There we go. That is full. And as you can tell, the light's getting dimmer. And then you can dim it down to about like that, too. I thought it would be awfully handy to have that, because you can actually control how much light you're putting out to light up your displays. But anyway, I got this due to Dave over at Pandemic Cemetery. It was his advice I followed, and for what I'm seeing so far, well worth the money. It cost me about $29 with tax and everything. So, not bad. I am planning on going down and getting some colored gels for it too, so I can diffuse the light a little bit more and change the color of the light so it's not a white light. But, you know, that's a separate purchase. But anyway, it's a really good buy. If anyone's having trouble with lighting up their haunts enough to get night footage, recommend this light. It's over on Amazon. And one more look at the name here. It's a Neewer LED video lighting. Okay, now we're out in the shop. Sorry about the last segment. A lot of tongue twisters there. I knew what I wanted to say. My mouth was just going faster than my mind was ready for. Last Thursday, after I got the vlog uploaded, the one you've currently seen, I came out and I got the first part of the spraying done, which was the black. We're doing the grout lines on all the panels. I got one done. And basically consists of using that, my little airbrush, and we take it, a lot of noise there. Take it and we just go over all the grout lines, spray painting them black. Then I come back with a paintbrush and touch up my bricks. Hey people, another segment. It's Tuesday. Little time I had yesterday and today, we ended up getting the grout lines all painted and the brick touched up. The reason why I went and touched up the brick is the fluorescent paint I'm going to be using really does not cover black. It has to go over white. So after I did the grout lines, I ended up having to come back through with a brush and go around the edges of all the bricks and touched them up. In the process, I got a little white down on the grout lines, so the grout lines are going to need to be touched up by hand now too, and that's normal. But I'm going to be smart. I'm not going to do it right away. That's going to be the last thing I do on these panels. I'll get my fluorescent paints on, and I know when I'm doing the fluorescent paints, I'll probably get some of that down on the grout lines. So once we get all the colors on here and stuff, I'll come back to just touch up the grout lines with the brush, and that won't take long. But anyway, kind of at a quandary now. I'm debating, do I keep working on the walls or do I start working on that stuff? And I've got the wheels which go on the piping, the grate that goes in the hole, and the fan blade that need to be painted. I'm thinking I'm going to probably stick with the walls, get the walls done out of the way. They're the largest things to do. So our next color is going to be on the damaged areas in here, and I need to get my fluorescent green shot on here. Once the green's done, I can come back over and do the red. So I'm going to get set up. I'm going to start shooting some green. Hey there, people. Just got done shooting the green on the panels. And I did have them leaning up against the side of the house. Good thing I brought them in. We just had radio alerts, TV alerts. We've got a major thunderstorm system coming through. And it's being preceded by 60-mile-per-hour winds. Not gusts, winds at 60 miles per hour. And let's see, I had that panel, and that panel out in the driveway. When the alert hit, I went out in the driveway, and that one was trying to fly away. So I brought it in here and laid it down on the, brought them all in and laid them down on the patio. Just got this one finished, and as you can see, they look green, white, and black. And they look like a mess at the moment. Technically right now, all my spraying is, for the so far, is done. The rest of the work I need to do is by brush. And that's going to be the next segment. Okay, YouTube, Michael Jackson in the background. You don't like it? Beat it. Next step, like I said just a bit ago in the last segment, is the spraying's done for now. We went through and sprayed the grout lines, used my brush to touch up the brick with the white, and then we went back with the green, did all the damagers, and it looks kind of sloppy. Next step, we'll hide that, and it's going to be by brush as well, and that's putting the red on the face of the brick. And when I put the red on the face of the brick, that will clean up the slop on the green. so no worries about that. Now, I did want to cover brushes. I'm using some cheap brushes that are extremely stiff, and I want to do that on purpose because when I drag the brush across the face of the brick, I don't want it falling down into the holes and getting on in the damaged area. So I'm going to be using a stiff brush for that. But now we start getting the face of the brick painted. Hey guys, special alert for you. This is non-project related. Was just down at Costco and I picked up some more skeletons. Up to 15 of them now for this season. But went over to grab 3 more skeletons, and right next to them they had a new skeleton. A skeletal dog. These hit, Grandin Rhodes was selling these. Don't know how much they were selling them for, but they came out last year. Scuba and a couple other people picked them up. Saw these, had to have one. And the best part is, they're around $15. It was $14.99 is what I paid here locally at my Costco for it. So just a little alert, skeletal dog. Now available at Costco. Or at least it's Costco here in Yakima, Washington. I don't know if other Costco's are carrying them or not. But kind of keep an eye out. They're keeping them back with all their other skeletons and Halloween stuff. So keep an eye out if you want a couple of these guys. Hey people, another quickie segment for you. I've gone through and I've got all those panels. They got their base coat of black on the grout, got the green, and got the red on. I'm letting them dry now. I'm just basically got finished with the last 2. I got those 2 done today, yesterday, and those 2 done today. I still need to go back through, give a second coat to the grout, which will clean the grout up a bit because I got a little sloppy here and there, and you can't really see it from this far away, but I can notice it. And then I also need to go through and take the yellow, fluorescent yellow, over all the plaster areas on that. But before we get into doing that, I have a small side project to do. And it has to do with the sewer room, and it is this here. This is my first water feature I made years ago. What was it, 2010? Or was it 2011? The hole there in the pipe is where the hose from the pump comes out, and this hangs up in the sewer room, and it spits water out. With going over the fluorescent, everything with the fluorescent paint for the dark light, or my black light room, this needs to be repainted so it kind of matches. It was going to be a project I was going to do if I had time. Well, my oldest daughter, Morgan, was born with Williams syndrome. In other words, she's mentally handicapped and has some physical challenges. Usually she takes an interest when I'm prop building. She likes to come out and watch and make comments and what have you. She's never really shown an interest in building props until I started doing the blacklight room this year. She loves glow paint, fluorescent paint that, paint that glows. And she has been having a ball watching Daddy paint. Well, she's taking it to the next step now. She wants to get in and actually do some painting. Problem is the designs on the brick is so intricate, and I'm having trouble keeping the paint where it's supposed to be. It would be too difficult for her to do. So I got to thinking about my sewer pipe fountain. It's a simple enough pattern, all in all, that she could paint it. It just needs to be cleaned up and given a base coat of white before we do any fluorescent painting on it. So I'm going to take a break to get the cleanup on it. I got some glue webbing from my Webcaster gun on it. It needs to come off. And I need to get the moss I have on it off, and then spray paint it. So while I'm waiting for that stuff to dry, I'm going to work on this and stuff. That way she can come out and help with painting. Hey, are we happy? Okay, there we go. Got a little bit of the music in, which was my thought. I'm going to leave the radio on. It's not on that loud. Been out here and I started working, or actually I should say yesterday I got in here. Got all the panels with the red on it. Got all the grout lines on all the panels finished. My last step painting wise on the panels themselves is the plaster areas. Because they don't glow right now and I want them to kind of glow, which would match the other wall panels I did. Now I got one going and got it. I'm using fluorescent yellow on it. And remember, I was going to vlog this section, this part of it, so you guys knew what I was doing. Now it's real simple, real easy. Got my little Pache airbrush out and took some yellow fluorescent paint, and it's all watered down. And okay, now all I'm doing is I'm taking my airbrush and I'm going over just the damaged areas. I don't want to do any of the other areas because I'd just add too much paint to the piece. So I just want the damaged areas. Once the damaged areas are done, I'm taking a damp sponge and I'm simply just lightly dragging it. I'm not pushing it hard enough to dig into the damaged areas. Now what that's doing is it's leaving an excess of paint in the damaged areas. And it's just giving a real light coat of paint on the surface of the foam, or on the surface of the plaster area. And then when it's under black light, the damaged areas, or actually I should say, the whole plaster area will glow, but the damaged areas will stick out even more than the surface does, because there's more paint in those damaged areas. So it's just a process of getting all four, these two panels up on the table, and we're doing this process, and then it will be totally done. And God, that is zoomed out weird camera angles, and I think you guys are used to that. Sorry about that, I'm hitting the wrong buttons today. But anyway, that's what I'm basically doing with the plaster. We get all the plaster work done, and then we'll be going in and getting all the detail stuff painted. Hey guys, getting on to it here. We got our wall panels done. They don't need any more paint, so those are done. So now we're moving on to doing all the detail pieces, the grating, the piping, and the wheels. And we're going to do the yellow first. That means the bars need to be yellow, and just the wheels. I'll turn that off. And just the wheels need to get yellow. This part here will be a different color. So I'm going to get ready to spray that, but I got my helper out here. She's been really anxious. She's just getting started and slowly working on the pipes. Getting them all painted nice and red. So we'll get you some progress reports on Morgan's work. Morgan, you going to say hello?
Hello.
Okay, there we go. We'll get some progress work on her and her project, and we'll give you some clips on what I'm doing. Hey, good evening. We've made a ton of progress out here today. We got all the plaster on all the walls sprayed with yellow. That was the first thing. Then we came through and got all the detail work. We got the bars repainted a nice good yellow. We got some yellow over here on the wheels with their bases painted blue. And I know it looks a little streaky. I'm going to leave it that way because you really don't see them. We also got some blue on the piping. So those are ready to go. They just need to dry over the weekend. And we got the fan blade taken care of as well. It's all painted. Fluorescent blue and yellow. So with that, started working on mounting the motor that's gonna be behind that fan to drive it. And what I'm using is a windshield wiper motor, and I went down and bought 2 flanges. I got one here and one on the back of the fan. Had a friend of mine tack weld a little piece of metal on the back of it so I could attach that flange to the windshield wiper motor. And what I'm going to end up doing is attaching a nipple to it like that, And that nipple will ride through this little sleeve I gotta get mounted yet on the wall. Fan blade and the assembly and everything is not that heavy. I really don't need the sleeve in there. I could just stick the nipple through the wall and the hole in the wood, and with this, it's not going to be moving that fast. So, it's not going to wear the wood down all that much, but I wanted a little added protection. This sleeve goes all the way through the wall and sticks out just a little bit. Let's see where, right about there. I'm not even sure if it's showing up on camera, but sticks out a little bit. And then the motor, I'm going to end up mounting right like that on the back of it. And the nipple will pass through the copper sleeve, stick out the other side, and I can attach my fan blade to it, and we'll have a working fan. I just need to get this all mounted, and I'm going to use some of the plumber strapping to do that. So I'm going to be doing that. And I wanted to go over something else, and wanted to say thank you. All right, where was I? Oh yeah, on the motor. I wanted to say thank you to the crew that's doing the Tech Talk on Wednesday nights. They've been kind of answering some questions and stuff. One thing that I had a concern was with the motor itself on the connections. There's two ways you can hook these motors up. One is a 12 volt, which means that motor spins really, really fast. Or you can do 5 volt, which slows it down. For this prop with that fan blade, even at the 5 volts or 5 watts or whatever, however you want to call it, the blade is still turning way too fast. I needed some way of slowing it down. Now there was two different ways I could do it. I could either just put less power into the motor and have it do that. The problem is you lose what we call as torque, the motor being able to turn a heavier item. The other one was using this. This is something I have wired right into the pigtail there for the motor. It's called a PWM. And don't ask me what PWM stands for. Because I'd have to look it up because I don't remember. Yeah, cigar time. End of the day, gotta have a cigar. Basically what this does, it acts, one has an on-off switch. Right now I got it in the off mode. But if I turn it, you can adjust your speed of your prop. I can either have it going full open, which is the speed for the 5 watt or 5 volt side, or I can decrease it down and just have it creep around. In fact, that's about its, right there is its lowest setting. And as you can see, it's just barely going around. Nice thing is, the motor doesn't lose any of its torque. So it'll still move a heavy item. Really, really nice. And I'll have to have all this wired up back here once I get the motor and stuff in. But, that's pretty much the last step. I've got to wait, for the pipes and the fans and everything to dry. So that won't happen until Monday. The motor and stuff, I'll get that all mounted onto the back wall here tonight. I do have one other thing I had to pick up, and that's another nipple. When I was down buying supplies, I was debating whether I wanted a 6-inch length on the nipple or an 8-inch. And I ended up buying an 8-inch nipple. It sticks out way too far. I should have gone with the 6-inch nipple. So I'm going to have to go down and buy a different nipple. And this one I'll keep because I'll use it for another project down the road. But I need to get myself a 6-inch nipple to go on here. That way the fan blade doesn't stick out quite as far. And if you remember right, a vlog or two back, I had this wall set up out on the patio before I had it painted. And I was talking about, the distance from this wall to the other wall out here, decreasing the distance. Going to be able to do that. With an 8-inch nipple, I'd probably be able to pull things back about 1 inch to 2 inch. If I go to a 6-inch nipple, I could probably bring the wall back about 4 inches. I think I had it set at a foot gap, and I want more at a 8 to 10 inch gap. So I'm going to be able to do that if I go with a shorter nipple. But anyway, for those of you that was hoping to see this baby finished and assembled and working, you're going to have to wait for the next vlog. We're doing a cliffhanger this week. This is the last vlog I'm going to do on this project as a build project. The next vlog I'll be doing, which will be coming out sometime next week, I'm not going to swear to what day, is going to be of the finished prop. And yes, I am going to do both a daytime and a nighttime look at it. I got one of my black lights out. So you'll get to see what it looks kind of like underneath black light. It looks better when you have multiple black lights up, just like my walls did when I did them. So sit back, relax, enjoy yourself. We'll see you next week. And this should look really, really nice once it's done, I'm hoping. With that, I'm going to say stay spooky. And as always, stay toxic. That still hurts the throat.